each other and ourselves and God, which is what I am witnessing you all living into together. I was thinking of preaching about these 3 parables of the lost things well before I knew that they were on Pastor Jeremy's schedule for this month. They are stories of recovering or repairing lost or broken connections. They are stories of throwing parties to celebrate the life-giving connections that are truly authentic. Like, from what I hear, the humble party that you all throw every Sunday. One of solidarity and inclusion, growth in love, and expectation of what the Spirit will do next. So I want to begin by inviting you to, again, take a few deep breaths with me and connect with our roots. So I want to invite you to imagine that you have roots from your body, even physically. Just imagine creatively roots that go into the earth, that connect you with the nurturing, life-giving soil, and that extend to connect you with your community, with your family, your life story, all of the things that have grown you into who you are. And breathe into the resources there. Deep within you, in your story, and in this good creation that sustains us. And I invite you to bring to mind the person or people in your childhood that had the biggest positive impact on you. For most of us, it's probably a parent or parents. For some, a grandparent or sibling or some other mentor, coach, teacher that was really present for us. What does it feel like to conjure them, to sit in their presence in your mind, in your heart? Sit with that feeling for a moment. Thank them. And thank you. Thank you for being here. So, these people that I asked you to conjure may loom large in your mind with like a saintly status, or you may remember their many flaws along with the things that you cherish. Probably the one thing that they all have in common is that they were there. They showed up. They were present for you. That, more than any remarkable quality, is what makes them so influential. I love the show This Is Us. I still am actually trying to finish it because I'm a mom now and I'm really busy, so no spoilers. But it's an intergenerational drama about how our families shape us. One of the characters is Kevin, a 40-ish-year-old actor who struggles to live up to the saintly image he has of his father, Jack. In one episode, Kevin has been working on a movie far from home when his fiancée goes into labor 6 weeks early with twins, and he drops everything to be there in time for the birth. While rushing to the airport, Kevin stops to help this injured man, which will likely make him miss his flight. And he reflects to this stranger in the passenger seat, "My dad would have rescued you, and he would have made it to his children's birth. He was always there. He was the most there person ever." This episode also has flashbacks of Kevin in 8th grade at a football camp with his dad, and it shows how imperfect Jack was. He was pressuring his son to succeed, and Kevin was overcome with anxiety. After Kevin vomited from stress, Jack realized that he was repeating some of the same mistakes of his abusive father. There was damage already done, but Jack was still there, trying to help Kevin relax, loving him as best he could, and that makes all the difference. There is no direct comparison, I believe, between the kind of love and presence earthly parents can give their children and the expansive, immeasurable love of our divine parent. Yet this much is similar. Despite how much God loves us, how their God is, we still struggle and suffer. We are traumatized, we doubt ourselves, we treat others carelessly, we stray from God's path. And God is always there with us through it. That makes all the difference. We usually hear the parables of the lost sheep, the lost coin, and the lost child as stories about how God is always there for us when we are struggling, when we get lost. God seeks us out, forgives us, and accepts us. Yet we often skip over what prompts Jesus to tell these parables. The Pharisees are complaining that Jesus welcomes sinners and eats with them. They are grumbling to other people about it rather than complaining directly to Jesus about how they feel. Jesus catches wind of their complaints, and that's when he tells these 3 stories. When a shepherd loses one sheep out of his flock, he leaves the other 99 in the wilderness to go find the one. When he finds it, he brings it home and throws a big party to celebrate. When a woman loses one coin worth a day's wages out of the 10 that she has, she abandons all her other work until she finds it. Then she invites all her neighbors and throws a big party to celebrate. When a father loses a son because the son moves away to spend his share of the inheritance on fleeting pleasures, the father welcomes his child home with open arms, even though the child returns with nothing. The father is so overjoyed that he throws a big party, like he has never done for his other son. In each of these parables, someone who is caring for sheep or coins or children has been careless in some way, has let one fall through the cracks or go down the wrong track. We know that God is always there and never loses us. Maybe then these parables aren't about how God relates to us. Maybe they are about how we struggle in our relationships with each other, how we can fail to stay connected, to love each other, to care for each other. The Pharisees feel slighted and even left out because Jesus welcomes sinners and eats with them. I want to be clear that Pharisees are not all insufferably self-righteous legalists like sometimes they've been painted. They were a diverse bunch of people, and many shared Jesus' ideals of spiritual and social renewal and some of his beliefs. They were similar to us churchgoers today, the ones who worship, who study scriptures, give tithes, and try to live ethical, spiritually grounded lives. So shouldn't they have a place of honor in Jesus' ministry to change hearts and lives? Aren't they the ones living out this calling? Why doesn't Jesus care as much about eating with them, about hearing their hopes and fears? And the parables then turn these questions around. Why have they not sat down to eat with the ones that they see as sinners? Perhaps they are the ones, the Pharisees are the ones who are lost, who are wandered away from God's all-embracing love and a life-giving experience of community. Jesus invites them, though, to be like the shepherd and like the woman and like the father. He invites them to be impractically caring, to put aside everything and seek each other out when there has been some disconnection, when they've lost sight of another's preciousness. It doesn't matter, I think, is what he's saying. It doesn't matter how careless or unwise you've been before. It doesn't matter if you don't understand these other ones, whoever it is that you see as the sinners. It doesn't matter if you can't make them live how you think they should. It doesn't matter if you're overcome with guilt because you haven't lived how you think you should. All God asks is that you show up for others. Be the one who is there. Run out to meet each other like a parent welcoming a child home. There may be questions and hurts to air out. There may be boundaries to set. There may be wounds that you struggle to heal. The alternative is to stay outside stubbornly complaining that you don't have your fair share while your wasteful brother gets a whole party wasted on him. Celebrate your connection even if it hasn't been easy and you're still figuring it out. Throw a party because you have, again, found each other. Celebrate that you keep finding each other in the middle of your brokenness and beauty again and again. Whenever there are conflicts or strained relationships between us, whether it's someone in your family or a whole category of people in society, the default is often to avoid, to disconnect, or to engage only from a defensive, combative position. It feels too risky and vulnerable to open up with who we are and what we feel. It feels too threatening to really try to understand the other's perspective. But we don't have to become master communicators or emotionally evolved beings to learn new ways of relating. All we have to do is show up with love, knowing who we are, and also willing to really try to understand and take in who the other person is. And open to sitting with uncomfortable feelings. This creates the space for grace to flow, to heal, to reconcile, and connect in new ways. The same is true even in our relationship with God. When we haven't been feeling God's presence, when we feel angry or untrusting toward God, then we often don't show up to pray or to read scriptures or to worship or journal or dance or whatever it is that we do. We stop trying to connect. And likewise, we don't have to figure out the perfect words or feelings or actions that will win back God's favor. We just have to show up and keep sharing who we are with God. Forgiveness and deep connection are already ours. If only we open the doors of our hearts and put our body where grace flows, where we know that it flows, it will come flooding in. Connecting with each other, of course, invites in this grace. When we come together and relate to each other with openness and authenticity, when we do what we can for each other, with all our imperfections, differences, disconnections, when we do that, we create a wild celebration in heaven. The joy is sure to rain down on us. I want to offer you a concrete way to put this hope of authentic relationship into practice this week. Only for a week. This is important because it's too much to feel like you have to permanently change the way that you relate. It's just to, this week, try something new. When you are with someone, anyone, try to be deeply present to them. If you feel like your mind is straying, take a deep breath into your roots, into your heart that knows how to connect way better than our mind. Listen to the human before you, whether it's your beloved child or your wayward brother or the grocery store cashier or the one who always gets on your nerves at the meeting. That struck a chord. Turn toward them, look into their eyes, paraphrase back to them what they say to affirm their experience. If you want to take it to the next level, don't talk about anyone else with them, good or bad. Of course, it's always beneficial to avoid gossiping, right? But even more powerfully, it will obligate you to be present in the moment with each other, to really be there. So, for example, while talking to your sister, rather than analyzing your relationship with your brother, be there with your sister. While talking to your friend, rather than sharing about your children's lives, share how you each are experiencing life. It's challenging. We're so used to talking about people with other people, and so I don't encourage you to implement this practice forever. Let's just see what happens, what shifts if for 1 week we set aside all the other 99 church members or 9 friends or 1 family member and focus on the one who is there before us. What sacred light might we be able to see in their eyes? What if, instead of speaking about the one who is lost to us right now, we then seek that person out and speak directly to them? You may find out that the one who was lost all along was not them, but you. When you open yourself up to a deep and direct connection with others, with God, the joy in heaven overflows. And that's all you need to do. God is the truly prodigal one. Prodigal, you may know, means wasteful. God wastefully, absurdly showers us with abundant grace that allows us to keep finding ourselves and finding each other, forgiving ourselves and forgiving each other no matter how often we get lost. We can start now. So as we leave the worship service in just a little bit and chat and mingle, take a deep breath, look into each other's eyes, ask, "How are you?" Answer honestly and listen deeply. Let's expect to encounter the sacred. Let's expect the Spirit to move. Let's expect a party to break out in the space between us as we are there for this one, this sacred one who stands before us now, found. Amen.
Let's sing another song. Stand on your feet or stand in your heart. Reach for the faith we sing. Let's sing number 2172, We Are Called. 2172. be seated. In just a moment, Reverend Sarah is going to offer a benediction. After the blessing, feel free to stick around in this place, listen to a little more music, have a talk with God. When you're ready, make your way out to the parlors where we have got refreshments. I have to tell you, I want to thank again Reverend Sarah for coming and sharing music and a message with us today. Really, the only downside of what I do is that I don't get to hear other people preach very often. And I love when somebody is able to show me something in these stories about Jesus that I haven't seen. I will now spend some time this week pondering what it means to think of these as the parable of the careless shepherd and the parable of the careless woman and the parable of the careless father. And I love, and we didn't really talk about this much at all this month, each of these stories ends with a party. And I love that Reverend Sari reminded us of that. Worship today will end with a party as well. And so make your way out, have some cake, welcome our new members, and allow God to create that joyful party in between you and another person out in the parlors this morning. There's a lot going on around the church and around the community in the next couple weeks. Take a look at the announcements in the bulletin. Watch for the Monday emails so that you don't miss out on anything that God is inviting you to be a part of. Today I want to share with you two things that are happening this week that aren't even in the bulletin right now, but that you may be interested in. Our friends at the People's Church wanted me to share with you that they've got a concert happening this coming Saturday at 7 in the evening. Bobby Joe Valentine is a musician who writes and performs music from an LGBTQ Christian perspective. A number of the teenagers in our church family got to experience Bobby Joe Valentine when they went to Camp Beloved up at Lake Louise this summer, and they came back raving about this musician and the music they experienced. Bobby Joe is going to put on a show at the People's Church just down the road where Hoffman's used to be, the People's Church. And it's going to be a free show at 7 o'clock this Saturday. They're going to take a free will offering. And I've heard so many good things about Bobby Joe Valentine from people I trust that I'm happy to recommend this to you. Next Sunday afternoon from 1 o'clock until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we've also been invited to take part in an event that is a collaborative effort of several churches and organizations. We'll celebrate All Saints Sunday at Glenwood Cemetery from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock next Sunday afternoon. So at 1 o'clock, you can show up, you can tour around. Glenwood is one of Flint's historic cemeteries. Many people important to the history of Flint and many people important to the story of the Court Street United Methodist Church are resting now at Glenwood Cemetery. At 2 in the afternoon next Sunday, there will be an ecumenical time of worship, and I'm going to be part of that, and some of our downtown pastors will be part of that together, where we'll celebrate the lives and remember the stories of some of the people who are now at Glenwood Cemetery. 2 o'clock in the afternoon next Sunday, after we have a great time celebrating All Saints and Heritage Sunday in worship on Sunday morning. Put those days and times on your calendar, and you won't be sorry if you make it to either or both of those. All right, Reverend Sari, would you share a blessing with us, please?
Go forth from this place to open your heart, to be present to the one who creates, redeems, sustains us, the one who is before you, and to perceive that these two are one. Amen.